Well, welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. And yes, the topic is your life out of sync? Or basically, how to discover your divine design. I'm Gail Davis. I'm tonight's host, and just a few little FYIs for everyone. To your left is a chat room. So if you have any questions as I go along, feel free to type it in. Any ahas, feel free to type it in. But the other thing, too, is I'm going to open up the lines in a few minutes. Well, I'm going to open up the chat rooms and have some questions for all of you. Unfortunately, because I'm in the webinar mode, you're not going to be able to see each other's chats, but I'll share some of them with you. So basically, who am I? Well, I am appreciative of everybody on tonight's call, and I thank you. And basically, I've been told that I'm a creative connector. I love to connect problems with solutions. I love to connect people with resources, and most of all, what I'm doing tonight, I love to connect individuals with their divine design and calling. So it's my promise that you'll come away tonight connected with some resources, some tools, but most of all, feeling that you're understanding what discovering your divine design is all about. The reason I've organized this is because each and every day I run across individuals who are wondering where their life is going, if it's going in the right direction. I come across hundreds of moms that are contemplating, do I return to work? Do I stay at home? What is my purpose in life? Likewise, I'm running into a lot of empty nesters these days and families affected with downsizing and are contemplating, where do I go? What do I do? What have I been designed for? So there's a reason you've joined us tonight. Perhaps you too are wondering what the purpose of your life is. Or maybe it's time for you to find a job that you can be passionate about and use your talents within. Or perhaps you're here tonight because a friend asked you to join them or perhaps even twisted your arm. Well, I have 3 objectives, 3 things I'd like to achieve with tonight's program. 1, to help you develop a greater sense of awareness of your uniqueness, giftedness, and calling, and I'm going to call it your divine design. Secondly, to provide you with valuable tips tonight to help you discover your divine design. And lastly, to provide you with future resources and tools to further your discovery. So whatever the case, let's sit back, grab a piece of paper, write down some of your ahas, and allow yourself to be open to new possibilities, but most of all, enjoy. We're recording this webinar. We'll be sending out a link tomorrow. So if I have your email address, you will receive it. If I don't have your email address, just send me an email after tonight's program, and I'll give you my email address. Also, in the future, I hope to do more of these, so I'd love to have feedback if you thought it was valuable. So let's move on a little bit. In the next 30 minutes, I can promise you're going to have some takeaways. So let's get personal. May I ask you a question? Who are you? If I were to say to you, who are you? How would you respond? Well, some of you might say, I'm a teacher, I'm a nurse, I'm a wife, I'm an administrator, I'm a sales leader. But let's bring it a little bit deeper. Who are you really? Well, maybe you might get a little deeper. I'm a successful real estate professional, or I'm a member of the ABC Alliance Church, or I'm a member of the Stewart clan. But let me phrase it another way. What is your God-designed life purpose? Who are you really? But sadly, many go through life never fully wrestling with these questions. Many just perform their tasks, their duties, their jobs, and think that's all there is. I'm sure you all know a person who's worked in a family business for 40-plus years, and that's all they've done because that's what they were groomed to do, and it was the family business. Or how about someone who went to college, majored in a certain field because that's what their parents told them to do? I had a roommate in college who became a doctor because that's what her parents wanted her to do. Years afterwards, I spoke to her one day, and she really shared with me how she didn't enjoy it. And that was just so sad. My heart went out to her. Perhaps you know a woman who, after 25 years of married life, finds herself a widow or divorced and wondering, who am I? Well, statistically, unhappiness affects 1/4 of the American workforce. 1/4 of employees view their jobs as a number one stressor. 70% of American workforce goes to work without enthusiasm. Even those within the church will tell you that they have no idea what God's purpose for their life is. Why do you think Rick Warren and the Purpose-Driven Life has been a bestseller for over 10 years? I love life coach Katie Brazelton, and a quote from her. I have come to realize that countless good Christian women barely function because they feel alone, disillusioned, or trapped by vague dissatisfaction. They feel that they have no critically important reason to exist. They're guilt-rid about their dark secrets of borderline despair. Well, who are you? Unfortunately, so many people have no idea. They're searching for life purpose. They're searching unconsciously or consciously. But sadly, you won't be able to discover life's meaning by just simply looking within yourself. You need to go to the Creator. That's how you're going to discover life's purpose. Rick Warren again says, you were made by God and for God, and until you understand that, life will never make sense. Your life fits into a much larger cosmic purpose that God has designed for eternity. Once you know how God knew you before you were even created, you will realize you were not an accident. So let me ask you, do you know a person who really loves their job? What do they look like? Someone whose career and vocation is just outflowing of who they really are. They're passionate. They're living their calling. You know that person. Might be a school teacher. Might be a waitress who has a smile from ear to ear. Might be the artist that forgets to leave his studio at night or eat because he's so absorbed. Might be the fireman. Well, Eric Liddell, a quote from Chariots of Fire. Remember that great movie about Eric, who was an Olympian? He says, I know when I run, God takes pleasure. So whether it be a waitress, an artist, a teacher, they found their sweet spot, or as I'd like to call tonight, they've found their divine design. So what are the benefits of knowing? So let me rephrase it. How would your life look different if you were living a life of purpose, passion, and direction? What would it look like? What are the benefits of knowing? Well, number one, I think it's obvious. It gives meaning to life. It gives you a sense of purpose, a reason for being. Number two, it simplifies your life. You would know what to say yes to and what to say no to, and you would eliminate all the clutter in between. And along with that, hand in hand, is it focuses your life, especially, and again I'm going to emphasize this, especially as you navigate the obstacles and roadblocks. So knowing your divine design, knowing your purpose, knowing God's calling for you has so many benefits. And I'm sure if I were to give you all time tonight, you could think of 100 different benefits too. So is everybody ready to go on a little divine design exploration and begin their personal journey? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing 3 principles for you to take away. 3 principles to help you in your discovery process. Well, the first principle is you're unique. You're one of a kind. God has endowed you with special gifts and abilities. Okay, now comes the time for full disclosure. Yes, I am coming to this with a biblical worldview. I believe that God created you while you were still in your mother's womb and that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm coming from a biblical worldview, believing that He is the author of life. You're unlike anyone else. Therefore, don't try to replicate someone that you've known or seen. You're unique. You're one of a kind. You're a marvelous, complex, talented individual. Have you ever marveled at the intricate design of snowflakes? Now imagine for a minute the complexities of our body, the workings of your brain. They're more complex than any computer system known to man. Again, I think you can tell that I like Rick Warren, and in his Purpose-Driven Life book, he states, you are not an accident. God never does anything accidentally. He never makes mistakes, and He has a reason for everything He creates. If there was no God, we would all be accidents, the result of an astronomical random chance in the universe. Life would have no meaning or purpose or significance. There would be no right or wrong and no hope beyond your brief years here on earth. But there is a God, and we're not an accident. Each of us has been wired for a special, unique purpose. Our brain produces actions, thoughts, memories, feelings. Add to that our phenomenal genetic makeup. DNA, RNA, ribosomes, mitosomes, you name it. You're complex with special abilities, special talents, special personalities, passions, interests, and you were born for a purpose. You are a masterpiece of God's workmanship. There's never been anyone like you. There will never be anyone like you. You're one of a kind, and God breaks the mold after each person is created. I'd like you now, all of our guests on tonight's webinar, to think of 1 or 2 things that make you unique. 1 or 2 things that make you unique. And if you have access to the chat room over to the left, can you just type that in? 1 or 2 things that make you unique. Earlier today when I did this webinar, some people typed in creative, artistic, organizer. Okay, now someone's typing in my musical ability. For all of those on tonight's webinar, you are unique, and I really, really encourage you to think through your uniqueness. Spend some time this week jotting it down and thanking God for it. So the first principle in discovering your divine design is knowing that you are unique. The second principle is knowing that you're going to have to commit time and energy to discover it. Be willing to commit. This is not going to happen overnight. My path basically began over 10 years ago. I was a wife, I was a mother, still am a wife and mother. I was a home educator to our 3 kids. I was co-director with my husband of a not-for-profit ministry. Anyone looking at me would think, oh, she's got it together. But I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have retirement. I didn't have a college fund. I had no real plans for the future, and I had definitely no clue what God had designed me for. I was basically living in the moment, just trying to survive each day and praising God as best as I could. But I found a company that not only allowed me to work part-time and provided financial peace, but provided me with such a phenomenal program of personal life discovery. And I started to dive into books, studies, online learning, and it really started to make sense. I understood what living in my sweet spot, my divine design was. Again, it did not happen overnight, but I can say with confidence, I now have a peace about who I am and what my life purpose is. Well, at the end of tonight's program, I'll be sharing about a 5-week discovery study that I'm offering in the month of July that can help you in your journey. But let's go back to commit your time and energy. One way is to start to spend time with God, listening and journaling. A book that I recently came in contact with was How to Hear God, Keys to Hearing God's Voice Every Day by Lynn Lee. She's a life coach in the UK, and oh my goodness, she gave so many ideas within her book to sit still and listen. One of my favorite verses in Psalm 46 says, "Be still and know that I am God." We really need to shut out the clamor, shut out the distractions, and start to listen. And as you're listening, journal, write it down, cry out to God. Put it in there and say, I'm not sure of my calling. I'm feeling this way. Write it down. And Lynn Lee in her book gives ideas of how to start journaling. Principle number 3 is read your life backwards. Well, you're probably wondering, how do I read my life backwards? I'm having a hard enough time reading it forwards. Well, again, I'm really into reading these days, and there's been so many great books that have impacted me. And after today's call, I'm going to share with you how to get a link of personal life discovery questions and reflections and resources with all my books that I've quoted. They'll be in there. A book that really made impact to me was Cure for the Common Life by Max Lucado. And he talks about reading your life backwards. Think of when you were a child. Go back to ages 6 through 12. What did you like to do in your free time? What did you do during your summer vacations? What were the 5 to 10 qualities that were true about you? And then Max shares, okay, move on a little bit. Go to junior high. Go to high school. See if there's any commonalities. List these characteristics. Well, I'd like everybody for a moment to think about what you liked to do as a child. And again, earlier today, I heard create. I heard organize. Oh my goodness, there were so many different ideas that jumped out at people today. One person replied, I loved to write as a child. If our attendees tonight have access to the chat room, if you could type in just a word or two, what did you like to do as a child? Think back. What did you like to do as a child? Okay, again, we have a musical person, always singing. Well, for me as a child, I loved to talk to people. And I don't think anyone on tonight's call is surprised about that. I loved to talk to people. I was always talking to strangers. I loved the postman. I remember growing up in the mountains of northeast Pennsylvania, and I would follow the postman, the mailman, around town during the summer and on my bicycle, and I would talk to him and all the people whose mail he was delivering. Another time, our school had a little Halloween parade. I was in kindergarten, and after the parade, we were supposed to meet our parents in a playground. Well, my mom couldn't find me. I found a mom with some children, and I was talking to strangers. another time, I was in an elevator with my grandmother in New York, and all of a sudden I scream out, "You forgot Betsy, you forgot Betsy," as the elevator attendant was closing the door. I had an imaginary friend by the name of Betsy, so if it wasn't real people, I was speaking to imaginary people. Fast forward 50 years, recently I did a presentation for a public broadcasting station in New York in conjunction with Toastmasters, a public speaking leadership organization, and my topic was overcoming the fear of public speaking. I was definitely in my sweet spot. I was in my yes. Well, that's part of reading your life backwards. As you start to write down the things you did as a child, the things you enjoyed, ask yourself, what did I take great pleasure in? Where would my parents find me if I wasn't around? What would I be doing? What did I enjoy thinking about? And again, go through junior high, high school. See if there's any commonalities. Read your life backwards. And I can assure you that there's going to be some real aha moments as you look at who you were as a child. Remember, if God is the creator, if you are a masterpiece, you were a masterpiece back then, and he knew your divine design. So basically, realize your uniqueness and celebrate. Invest time and effort in your discovery process and listen and journal. And read your life backwards and reflect on the yeses. So I'd like to just take a break right now and share about a gift. As I shared earlier, I have a PDF download for all of you on today's call, and it's really easy to access. I have a website, www.hisAssociates.com/sign up with a hyphen between sign and up, SIGN-UP. It's a private page. You cannot access it unless you know where you're going. And on that page is going to be a gold gift. Click on that gift, and you'll be able to upload my special gift to you, my document. So you are who you are for a reason. I hope you're seeing that one of the keys to personal satisfaction is discovering who you are and God's unique plan for you. Once you have an idea of who you are, you can work on a plan to fulfill it. If you're not sure where to begin, well, please email me because I get great joy in helping individuals like yourself work on life plans. And again, within your packet, there's going to be some discovery questions, reflection questions that can help you. But fulfilling your unique role is the key to achieving personal satisfaction. When you truly and fully live the life you were meant to live, you're going to have an abiding sense of purpose and delight. People who are moving in their divine design and moving in their calling and purpose rarely feel that they're working. They have great joy in what they're doing. Tom Patterson, in his book, Living the Life You Were Meant to Live, states, "The Lord's desire is that you truly live the life you were meant to live, experiencing not only peace of mind and peace of soul, but also an exhilaration that comes with the recognition that your life counts, that it is worthy and valuable to God and to others." So as I start to wrap up our brief time together tonight, I'd like to share a poem to reflect upon. Now, I'd like you also to close your eyes as long as you're not driving or operating any heavy equipment. The poem is called "You Are Who You Are for a Reason," and it's by Russell Kelfer. You are who you are for a reason. You're part of an intricate plan. You're a precious and perfect, unique design called God's special woman or man. You look like you look for a reason, or God made no mistake. He knit you together within the womb. You're just what He wanted to make. The parents you had were the ones He chose, and no matter how you may feel, they were custom designed with God's plan in mind, and they bear the Master's seal. Know that trauma you faced was not easy, and God wept that it hurt you so. But it was allowed to shape your heart so that into His likeness you'd grow. You are who you are for a reason. You've been formed by the Master's rod. You are who you are, beloved, because there is a God. Well, there's benefits of knowing your divine design, and I just wanted to share my story briefly. Remember, I shared how knowing who you are and your divine design gives meaning to life, a sense of purpose and reason, simplifies your life. You know what to say no to and how to eliminate some of the clutter, and focuses your life, especially as you navigate the obstacles and roadblocks. And through this focus, you'll have a peace, a joy, and most of all, less stress. So my story basically was, for the past 10 years, I've been working in who I am. I've felt clearly God's calling and sense of purpose. I've had a mission. But sadly, 2 years ago, my life hit a major roadblock, obstacles, or for those that live in the mountains of northeast Pennsylvania, you know too well about the potholes and the road construction. So in a period of a few brief months, I had to deal with nursing home placement for my mom with dementia, heart disease, and diabetes. I had to deal with my father's diagnosis of throat cancer and his need to go through 3 months of radiation treatment, which required me to live 3 hours from my home in New York. And then my daughter, Lydia, in her last year of high school, she was captain of her high school volleyball team, and she was a member of the state champion basketball team. She tore her ACL meniscus and needed surgery and physical therapy for months and months, which sidelined her totally. And then my youngest daughter, Hannah, she suffered a serious head trauma, resulting in her having to be homeschooled her last year of high school, going to Burke Rehabilitation Center in White Plains for speech and cognitive therapy, and basically losing a year of her life. Well, I could have gone into a cave. I could have crawled and found a cave and just curled up and died. Or I could trust in God, knowing that He has a purpose, and I know His purpose, and I know His direction for me. So knowing my divine design made all the difference in dealing with these obstacles. I had a peace that God was in control. He was guiding and directing my path, and I knew that a great lesson was going to flow forth from this. I share this because wherever you are today, you may be going through some obstacles, you may be wondering what your divine design is, but know as you discover it, you're going to have a greater peace, and you're going to be able to handle it amidst the storms of life. So where do you go from here? What is your next step? Well, some of you may want further study. I gave you a few points for today. You're going to come away with a resource guide with some good reading and questions for reflection. But some of you may want more. starting in July on Wednesdays, both at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m., I'm going to be offering a 5-week small group coaching discussion. And it will be very interactive. The phone lines will be open. We will also have a web presentation, and we're going to be going through the book, The Peace Process, together. And the really cool thing is I've read a lot of books in my time. Many of them have spoken to me, but just recently I had the pleasure of being introduced to Catherine Leslie, the author of The Peace Process. And it was almost as if I had written the book myself. It was exactly where I was coming from. And she uses the acronym PEACE for personality, experiences, whether good or bad, abilities, including spiritual gifts, core values, and energizers, PEACE. And what's really exciting about the book is she's got personality tests, quizzes. She's got real meat in there that's going to require a few hours of work each week. But I'm going to be offering it. And if you were to enroll in a life coaching program of this intensity, it would cost hundreds of dollars. But the benefit of group coaching is we can keep it within most budgets. So now through Sunday night, I'm able to offer this 5-week program and with the book as my gift to you for only $79. So for those that want to participate, go to my website, to hisassociates.com/sign up with a hyphen in between the sign and the up, and you can join the class. But I really encourage anyone who wants to further to really consider this. And upon completion, you'll receive a certificate of completion from me. But there's also some people that might want more. I'm a life coach, and I offer individual programs and 90 Days to Discovery programs. Well, Catherine Leslie, in her book, The Peace Process, states, you were created on purpose, uniquely and individually for something extraordinary. And I amen to that you were created on purpose, uniquely and individually for something extraordinary. And my prayer for all of you tonight is that you will live the life that you were uniquely, specifically, and divinely designed and created for. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop recording because there may be some people on tonight's call that might want